Hey guys, it's Barbie with two friends in a Bible coming on today just to try to do some updates on what's going on in current news. And yeah, that's pretty much it today. I don't have a whole lot more. I do want to start this video and I'm going to try, and it's not going to let me. Yeah, I was going to try and share a video, and it's a really good video. But I'm not able to get it up today because it's coming off Rumble instead of YouTube. So I don't know if Rumble is just not letting me share yet. Maybe it's too new. So not going to be able to do it. So I'm kind of bummed. I was looking forward to sharing this little short clip video, but if I can get it to work later on, then I will definitely do that. Okay, so we'll get caught up a little bit today, and it's amazing, even though it's only been 2 days since I did my last update, that even more stuff's going on. I can't even keep up anymore. I mean, it's insane that I cannot, that how much is going on. So anyway, I hope everyone is doing well. And I want to read something real quick just before we get started. And just give me 1 second. I gotta find that verse. My laptop, my iPad shut down. So just give me 1 second. Before I get started, I just want to read, and I know we've spoken about Matthew 24 several times, and honestly, that's something that's probably good. Anytime you're talking about end times prophecies, that's going to come up. And, we've actually done a video on it as well. But I'm just going to read a quick verse before we get started. And it's Matthew 24, and it is verse 7. And it says, "For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there will be famines and earthquakes in place after place." Okay, and then I also want to read verse 6. "And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not frightened or troubled, for this must take place, but the end is not yet." So I wanted to read that before I read this to you, because Jesus clearly tells us not to be frightened, not to be scared, not to be in fear, because these things must take place and the end is not near. And I believe the end is going to be when the rapture happens and the tribulation starts. So it hasn't happened yet, and we're still in the birthing pains, but it's definitely getting closer and closer. But he says, don't be frightened, don't be in fear. And there's no reason to be in fear. He's given us warnings. He's letting us know these things are coming. So don't be in fear. He's got us. He's going to take care of it. Okay. So definitely don't be in fear. When we're teaching the 101 Revelation course and giving updates, it's not to put you guys in fear. It is just to let you know what's going on so that you don't have to, take as much time and get on all the different news media and try and catch up, or I want not the MSN and whatnot, but different people that you might listen to that will give you good updates, like Amir and Eric and some of the Watchmen and stuff that actually give you good updates. Okay, so absolutely do not be in fear. Okay, so I'm going to start now. All right, so China has told the UN it is planning to invade Taiwan. They have definitely told the UN now that that is what their intentions are, and that is to invade Taiwan. Not good. Obviously this is not good. And not good for so many reasons, primarily because we don't want to see bloodshed. It's just ridiculous how many people are fighting amongst each other. And these things must happen. We know that, but It's just not good. I will tell you this though, Taiwan holds 54% of the world's chips. You know, the chips that they use for your cell phones, your laptop computers, your cars, all of that. As of right now, Taiwan holds 54%. They export 54% of all of our chips. That's a lot. It's more than half. All right. And so at the present time, China holds about 7%. China doesn't hold as much. However, if China does take over Taiwan, then they're going to hold 61% of our chips. If we can't get those chips, you're not going to be able to do your phones and your laptops and your vehicles. Okay. So when people say that this no big deal, this isn't going to affect us if China goes after Taiwan, well, it is. It's going to affect us in so many ways, but that is one of the ways that it's really going to affect us. Okay. So we need to keep that in prayer and keep that in mind because that could turn really, really ugly. Okay. All right. So I was listening to one of my guys today, and he was explaining something that happened. You know, back on August the 5th or the 8th, you had the Islamic Jihad, who was under Iran. They are terrorists. And Israel had found out that they were going to attack their trains and their civilians and cars in Israel. So Israel's not going to let that happen. So Israel actually went in and formed a committee, whatever, formed something called the Breaking Dawn. And they actually attacked Islamic Jihad first. And we talked about this in one of my previous update videos. So if you haven't watched it, I would watch it because it's too much really to get into today on this. But what we found out today is that while that was going on and while we were focused on watching that, I think we had actually heard there were large explosions going on in Yemen. And Yemen is another country that is under Iran control, under Iran militia, proxies. You have the Houthis. And I believe you have I think it's the Houthis and one other. I'll get to that in a second. But you have them in Yemen. And if you don't, Yemen, and if you don't know who they are, I don't know if you remember back around 1998, the USS Cole, the Navy ship that was stationed or ported in Yemen, a boat of Yemen terrorists or the boat of terrorists drove their boat into the USS Cole and killed many servicemen. Okay, and that was around 1998. And then, of course, in 2001, what happened on September 11th. So that was like our first, I guess, really big terrorist. I mean, I know we were attacked in Pearl Harbor, but that was, war, not good still, but war. Whereas this is like your terrorist groups. Okay. And so I think that was the first, time that other than in 93 when ISIS actually got part of the World Trade Center back then when Clinton was in presidency, but it wasn't common for us. So that happened. So they're American haters as well. So when the Islamic Jihad were being attacked by Israel and clearly not having success themselves, they were shooting missiles at themselves, and what missiles they shot never hurt any of the Israelis. So obviously they didn't do very well. Well, the Houthis in Yemen offered to help the Islamic Jihad during Breaking Dawn against Israel and the Gaza by shooting rockets at Israel. They offered to come in and help. And I don't know what happened, but as far as why they didn't actually get over there originally, but I know why they didn't get over there ultimately, because Israel found out about it. And so what Israel did, per the Lieutenant General of the Israel Defense Force, said that during the operation of Breaking Dawn, Israel actually attacked a third country. So what is a third country? A third country, Israel refers to a third country as any country that is not on their border. Okay, and Yemen is not on their border, so they are referred to as a third country. So Israel actually went in and with fighter jets. Well, yeah, they sent fighter jets and they struck right at the Yemen's capital. Okay, Yemen's capital. And this is where Iranians were actually training the Yemen soldiers. They were actually training them, and this was the place they were putting together very sophisticated missiles. The Israel intercepted this information, and they really believed that the Yemenites were going to attack, and the Houthis, which, if you don't know who the Houthis are, they are another terrorist organization that is under the Iran proxies. Okay, so they work under Iran. So, and American and Israel haters. So anything related to Iran is America and Israel haters. Okay, so they found out that they were preparing to attack Israel. So they went in with fighter jets and they attacked them first. And I don't know that any of us really knew about this going on. I think because we were so focused on what was going on in Islamic Jihad in the Gaza Strip. Okay, so that kind of, went kind of past us, but there was apparently like 3 major blasts. And there were Iranians, Yemenites, and Lebanese people that were actually killed. There was quite a few that was killed during this strike. And when you know that you've got Iranians, Yemenites, and Lebanese people there, you know that Hezbollah, which is a terrorist group, Iranian National Guard, and the Houthis, all terrorists, were all involved. So they were all involved with planning another assault against Israel, but Israel found out first. So I thought that was really, really interesting. And as Amir said, one of the things that was really interesting about it is Israel doesn't usually talk about what they do. They'll go in and shoot inside of Syria to get a weapons area blown up, but they don't never really talk about it. You just know that they did it. And so I thought that was really interesting that they're not even worried about people knowing. They're just coming out. Not, and I even thought that before Amir even said it. So it was pretty interesting. So yeah, keep an eye on that. You won't hear these things in mainstream media either. Okay, so, and at this point, I know I've said this before, that the Iranians have enough uranium to make, but I think it's between 3 and 5 nukes. Right now, and I believe we talked about this on the last video, Iran and Russia are becoming big buddies. And, they never really cared for each other before. But Russia's kind of in a bad situation because they don't really have any allies right now. So they kind of got to take whoever they can get that's going to work with them. So they're becoming like BFFs right now. And at this present moment, Russia actually needs Iran more than Iran needs Russia, which is really weird. Won't last, but it's really weird that that's going on. So, and right now, Iran is actually selling drones to Russia. And in return, Russia is making deals with Iran for oil. Okay, so they're working one-on-one together. I find that kind of interesting, not something I don't think that we've ever seen and not something we expected to see. So, okay. Then you've got Russia, and now is also, in addition to being little buddies and BFFs with Iran, they're now BFFs with China, or becoming BFFs with China. And so now they're becoming BFFs with China and Iran. Okay, so that's not, the reason that a lot of that's going on and why Iran really wants to be buddies with China and Russia is because they can prevent and go against any anti-move against Israel with the UN, okay, because they're UN. And so they can actually help keep the UN from doing anything to them. So it's a very good deal for them to be buddies. And right now, because we have such a weak administration, nobody's scared. Nobody's scared to do anything anymore. That's why the whole world's falling apart. When you have a weak administration in America, these are the things that happen. That's why you have to have a very strong administration. And that's why voting is so incredibly important. We'll see what's going to happen. Now, they've been talking about that Iran deal. I don't know about you guys, but I'm like so sick of hearing about the Iran deal. Obama put them in it back in, was it 2014? I'm sorry, I don't remember exact date. But actually, he put them in it. And when number 45 became president, he took them out. He took us out of that deal. Said it wasn't good. And he's right. We were giving them all this money. I mean, it's crazy. No, it wasn't right. So he took us out. But now that number 46 is in, who technically was under 44, and even when he was running, he said he wanted to get us back in this deal. And so they've been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for this last year, trying to get some kind of an agreement and just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. So Iran has now said that if the United States backs out of this Iran deal, this Iran nuclear deal, then they want compensation. They want to be compensated. Because what happens is if we do get in it, they're getting millions of dollars, if not billions. And that money is not going to go to the Iranian people that are poor and starving. No, it's going to go to all their terrorist groups, the Houthis, the Hezbollah, the Islamic Jihad, Iran Revolutionary Guard. It's not going to go for anything good. It's only going to go for bad. Okay, it's just going to build up the terrorist groups. So it's shocking to me that America is even entertaining these conversations, because it's just absolutely insane. And I don't even know how to say it without being ugly. So I'm not going to say it, but it is incredibly ridiculous. We should just be walking away saying, no, not doing it. It just makes zero sense to me. And if someone can make that make sense to me, please do. But it makes no sense. And it is what happens again when you have a weak administration. Okay, these are the kind of things that are going to happen. I mean, whoever thought Iran, a third world country, and America, who has been the superpower since the Cold War ended, would ever have a third world country giving us an ultimatum. And not that because we're supposed to be big, bad, and all that, but we're not supposed to cater down either. And if we cater to what these requests are and these demands are, I mean, we'll have to talk about that later, because there's no telling where that could take us. So we really need to keep it in our prayers that God will intervene with the talks, and that the U.S. and America does not back down, okay, and does not cater to these threats. Now, it's a possibility that could happen, and so all we can do is pray, and only God knows what's going on right now and what the future holds. But, again, I mentioned this pretty much every video, that we got the Gog-Magog war. So if we've got the Gog-Magog war coming up, and it involves Russia and Iran and Syria and Israel, I mean, there's a good chance that he's not going to intervene, because this is the time. But if it's not, he might. Okay, so we need to definitely pray and ask for guidance, and ask for, whatever we need to do, let us know. And please work with the people that are in charge of all this, and give them the the knowledge and the know-how and to make the right decisions, because this is really scary. And again, don't be scared, don't be frightened. I didn't mean to use that word. Okay, so and then here's another interesting thing. Russia is now told the Egyptian president, and if you remember, the Egyptian president was kind of doing like a mediation between Ukraine and Russia. Russia's now told the Egyptian president that they want to talk about a deal to possibly end the war, which again, that doesn't make sense to me because they've gotten so far. And of course, there was rumors that there was 50,000 Russian soldiers that had been killed, and we have found out there was 15,000, which 15,000 is too many. One's too many. But it's a big difference on 15 and 50. So they're not doing near as bad as some of the media will try to lead us on and thinking. So why would they want to pull out now? When it's, I don't know. I don't know. So keep that in your thoughts as well. Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind and kind of think about, why is that going on? Why would they do that? Unless they're doing worse than what we really realize, but I don't think they are. So, and then the other thing that, along with that, is I know we've talked about this before, but Venezuela actually gave Iran 2,500 acres. And, Venezuela's just in South America. You got like Florida here and you got like Venezuela right here. We're not that far of a difference. And Venezuela now is a communist country. And they've given Iran 2,500 acres. And there's only one reason why they would do that. Be closer to us, right? So that's another thing. Keep all these thoughts, okay? Now, Russia has actually, in the last 2 days or so, has told Israel and has put Israel on notice. The defense minister of Russia said that they are concerned that Syria is going to be in the middle of the conflict between Israel and Iran. And, well, duh, I mean, they've been in the middle of the conflict, because they've been there and they're letting Iran bring their stuff and they're letting Russia bring their stuff to nuke out Israel and to take out Israel. So yeah, they're kind of going to be in the middle. So yeah, they've said that. They have said that they've put them on notice that basically that they don't like it, that they don't like the facts that they have done that. So I don't know. Not new news, right? I mean, that's been going on. But I think what they're doing is they're publicly saying it now because there for a while when Israel would bomb Syria, not the people, of course, but the military not the military, but well, maybe, but the cargo, the ammunition and stuff that Iran has brought into Syria, that's what they're bombing. And Russia's kind of stayed out of it, but if you remember on my last video, I said that now that Iran and Russia and China, but Iran and Russia are BFS, they are basically going to push Russia. You need to back Israel out of Syria. So that's why the defense minister's gone in now and said, you're on notice, back out of Syria. It just keeps getting crazier and crazier. He also, what else he said? He said that America and his allies which of course is Israel, is fueling all the rage in the region. Of course, they've said it before, but they're reiterating it that America is the one causing all this rage and things to go on in America. I mean, in the region. I mean, some of it, they could be right. So Israel obviously is now not just having issues with Iran and all their proxies, Hezbollah, Jihad, Houthis, Yemen. there's more. Those are I think, the main big ones, but they're not just having problems with them now. Now they're having problems with Russia. And so if Iran and Russia are BFS, and now they're becoming BFS with China, yeah, it's getting kind of nasty over there for Israel, getting kind of nasty. But now Turkey, I thought this was kind of interesting, but Amir kind of explained it. They're wanting to get along with Israel. They are wanting to basically get back into their truce, and so they have, and they both countries have sent their ambassadors back to where they belong. I was a little surprised about that. And honestly, with that whole area, yeah, I'm not really trusting them. I don't know why. Just my gut says, But as of right now, they are back buddies and, are allies. I wouldn't say buddies. And, of course, Turkey's going to need the gas, the pipe that runs through Israel. So that's a big possibility. They see the winter coming, and so they know we got to do something. So they actually need to stay friends with Israel for now. I don't think it's going to last again, though. And so mainly, there's really not a whole lot to really talk about today. It was it was a little shorter than what we normally do. Just keep that whole Middle East in the prayers, but keep the United States in the prayers too, because what happens over there affects us, and it's going to affect us, okay? And I think it's amazing and great that we all listen to these videos to get updates and stuff. And honestly, a lot of times when I'm driving in my car, I just, click on my video and I listen to it while I'm driving. And that's how I get a lot of my video time done. But stay in the Word, stay in that Bible. And I have said this before, but stay in the Word, because that's where you're going to get a lot of information, even more so than what we could possibly give you. And I know that we're trying to give you as much information as we can, but God is your ultimate person that you want to go to get your information and your answers. Okay. And I'm going to do one more thing. They did say today that North Korea, China, and Russia are now threatening the United States with nukes. I don't know what's up with North Korea. I don't even know. I guess what is it? 45 calls him the Rocket Man. I guess he just wants to go shoot off a rocket. I ain't really sure. I guess everybody else is in the middle of a whole bunch of junk, so he wants to get in the middle of it too. I don't know. Everybody's just crazy right now. And I'm going to do one more thing, and then we will get off of here. And you guys are going to have a great weekend. I'm going to look and make sure that Amir has not posted anything updated. And then, and when you're, in as far as like listening to end times and eschatology, and I've told you, stay in the Word, stay in the Word. That's the most important. But the second most important is to make sure your friends and family know. So by listening to these videos, like I know a lot of times we give a lot of scripture reference when we're doing our actual videos on Revelation 101. We give a lot of scripture reference. So you can actually turn that into a Bible study. So when we're giving you those scripture references, write them down and go to the Bible and read them and see what the Lord is telling you. Ask him to give you a discerned spirit and let you know what you need to know and what you need to believe. Okay. Always check. Never just believe someone. Always check. And yes, we've done hours, hundreds and hundreds and hours of study. So I feel very comfortable that we are definitely giving you accurate information. But yeah, but we always recommend to do that. Okay, let me look at something real quick. I just want to check this out and see if there's anything. Okay, looks like there's some explosions at the Russia Air Force Base. Yeah, so I mean, maybe they're not doing as good as I was thinking, but I've been hearing they are. But I don't know. I guess we'll just keep that in mind. And I do see where the Egyptian president is visiting Zelensky, president of Ukraine, right now. So maybe they are really going to talk about a peace or a ceasefire or something. We'll see. Okay, so I want to read something really quick to you. It's Ezekiel. Okay, and I'm reading this to you because I keep telling you I'm not doing this to give you fear. I want you to understand exactly what the word says. And this comes from the prophet of Ezekiel. And it says this about what we need to do when we see the signs of the coming. We are instructed to share this information, okay? So, and as Christians, you have no reason to be scared, girl. Y'all, this is like, if this is what it is, man, we are blessed beyond measure to be able to be here and see it. Okay, so yeah, it might be a little scary, but it's also kind of cool too. So just keep that in mind. Don't be scared. But I'm going to read you what he says. And this is actually Ezekiel. Ezekiel, if you don't know who he was a really good, really, really good prophet. He is the one that if you go to chapter 38 and 39, that's where you read about your Gog Magog war is in Ezekiel 38 and 39. Okay, so but anyway, I'm going to read Ezekiel 33 and I'm going to read 1 through, I think, really, I need to read the whole entire chapter, but I'm not. I'm going to just read some of it and then I'll let you know how far I went. And it's about what it's kind of that, Ezekiel always had a lot of prophecies from God. And it's about what we're supposed to do. Okay, so I'm going to read that. And the word of the Lord came to me saying, Son of man, speak to your people and say to them, when I bring the sword upon the land and the people of the land take a man from among them and make him their watchman, watchwoman, watchman. So that's what a lot of us that study end times are called. We call ourselves as watchmen women, watch women, watchmen. So if when he sees the sword coming upon the land, he blows the trumpet and he warns the people. Okay. If when he sees the sword coming upon the land, he blows the trumpet and warns the people. So, in that time, thousands of years ago, that's what everyone fought with. So he's saying if you see someone come in with a sword, at that time, that's what it would be. Then you're going to blow that trumpet and you're going to warn the people. And of course, that's what the Jews used a lot of times back then was the shofar. And they're going to blow that to warn the people. Well, that applies to us today. If we see these signs that we're teaching and studying and giving to you guys, we are instructed to warn you and let you know, okay? So now I'm going into verse 4, and it says, Then whoever hears the sound of the trumpet and does not take warning, and the sword comes and takes him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. So in other words, if we don't warn, our blood is on, the blood is on us. He heard the sound of the trumpet and did not take warning. His blood shall be upon himself, but he who takes warning shall save his life. But if the watchman sees the sword coming and does not blow the trumpet, and the people are not warned, and the sword comes and takes any one of them, he is taken away in and for his perversity and iniquity. But his blood I will require at the watchman's hand. So you, son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. That's who we're really, really watching because that's really where, A lot of the tribulation and everything is going to take place. A lot of the stuff that's going to be going on is going to be going over there. It's going to hit us here too, but yeah. So say that again, verse 7. So you, son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. When I say to the wicked, O wicked man, you shall surely die, and you do not speak to warn the wicked from his way, that wicked man shall die in his perversity and iniquity, but his blood I will require at your hand. But if you warn the wicked to turn from his evil way, and he does not turn from his evil way, he shall die in his iniquity, but you will have saved your life. So I'm just going to read that. That's verses 1 through 9, Ezekiel 33, verses 1 through 9. Okay. So he's telling us, if you see all this coming, you must warn. It is your job. It is your job to warn. And if you don't, their blood is on your hands. Okay. I don't want to go to heaven and God say, why didn't you tell this person about me? I want him to say, well done, good and faithful servant. And that's why we're doing these videos. We want to warn you of what's coming. We're not wanting to put you in fear. We're wanting to warn you so that you can make right what went wrong, or get prepared or start preparing your family and your friends. Okay. If not, their blood's on your hands, my hands. Okay. But if we warn them and we let them know what's coming along, and as well as I do, most people look at us like we've grown a third eyeball. And if they don't look at us like that, they think we're crazy. They might think it. And then some people do listen though. And you know what? If you are able to reach one person, you've reached one person, and not one person could turn out and reach 10 people. You just don't know. So yeah, that's those kind of things are going to happen. If I mention it to people and friends, they just go, oh, okay. Yeah. So, because they're not in the word studying like I am, and, they're not seeing it and they don't understand it. So, but I know that I'm sharing it because I don't want their blood on my hands. Okay. So that's what he's saying. If you don't do it, their blood's on your hands. But if you do, you're okay. And it's up to them at that point, what happens. And there's one other verse I want to read today. It's out of Luke 17. I thought this was I heard someone else read this. I read this earlier today. And in Matthew 24, Jesus talks about in the days of Noah, that we will know it's the end times in the days of Noah. Because it's going to be like the days of Noah. And so I'm going to read this, and this is what he's talking about. And this is actually Luke 17, 26 through 30. And just as it was in the days of Noah, so will it be in the time of the Son of Man. People ate, they drank, they married, they were given in marriage right up to the day when Noah went into the ark and the flood came and destroyed them all. You can find that in Genesis 6, 5 through 8, 7, 6 through 24. So also, it was the same as it was in the days of Lot. Remember, Lot was Abraham's nephew, and they were living in Sodom and Gomorrah. And so at that point in time, it was the same way, right before Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed. People were eating, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built. But on the very day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. That is the way it will be on the day that the Son of Man is revealed. So what he's saying is, in the days of Noah, God came, Noah and his family were the only ones that he found righteous. Everyone else had gone off the deep end. You had bad angels, demons, whatever, bad angels. I'm assuming the ones that fell from Satan when he fell, breeding with women and having children, which were called Nephilims. They were big, giant people. They were partying, they were drinking, they were worshiping idols. They were given away in marriage. They were doing all those things. And so God told Noah, build an ark. And Noah really didn't necessarily understand why God wanted him to build an ark. And what we need to remember is during that time of Noah's ark, it had never rained from the sky. No, if you read Genesis, you will see where mist came up from the ground. And that's how things got watered. There was no rain. Okay, it had never rained. So God's like, go, Noah, it's going to rain. I need you to build an ark. Could you imagine? I mean, he doesn't even know what rain is. But he had so much faith and he was such a righteous man that he did exactly what God said. And it took him about 100 or so years to build that ark. So all these people that were marrying and giving in marriage, they were all just running around doing what they were doing, probably laughing at Noah, probably looking at him like he was growing a third eyeball, because he's probably trying to tell him, look, God said build an ark because he's going to destroy the earth with rain. Well, they didn't know what rain was, but they didn't have the faith of Noah, and they were not righteous like Noah. Okay, so they just laughed and laughed at him, just like people will do with us now. Okay, it's no different. And then in the same thing with Lot, it's talking about, it says in verse 28, so also it was the same as it was in the days of Lot. People ate, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built. So they were planting harvests, they were buying things, they were drinking, they were eating, they were building their homes, they were just living life like nothing was like it was just normal. And then when the angels came in and got got Lot and his wife and children out, Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. Yeah, because they got pretty nasty. They were about as bad as these people in Noah's time. So anyway, those are some examples of what was going on at that time. Well, what's going on right now? We're eating, we're drinking, we're buying, we're selling, we're planting, we're building, we're marrying, we're giving in marriage. We're doing all that. In fact, 2022 has had more marriages this year more marriage this year since 1980s, back to the 80s. Okay, we have had more marriages. Crazy. So we're doing exactly the same thing. And back to Noah, they had 100+ years to ask Noah and sit down and say, Noah, what are you doing? What's going on? Why are you building this big boat? And what is rain? And, why did your God tell you to do this? I don't understand. And they didn't. They just kept living their life like it was no big deal. Well, that's exactly what a lot of us are doing. We're living our life like it's no big deal, but we're seeing the signs. I'm reading you the signs, and I'm reading these signs, and I'm showing you guys what is going on. We're teaching about the wars. We're teaching about all that. The signs are there, and people are still they're not making any changes. So that is what that is talking about. So that's exactly what's going on right now. So when Jesus says, in the days of Noah, we will know it's the end times, because the same thing is going on that was going on in the days of Noah. But he also says, do not fear. Okay, guys? I will not be back on again till Monday, and we should be teaching about Gematria, which is numbers, and it's going to be pertaining to the mark of the beast. So we'll be talking about the mark of the beast as well. And I should be back on Tuesday giving more updates on what's going on in world events. And again, I appreciate you so much for listening to us. It's a blessing, huge, huge blessing. I'm getting such a blessing out of this. And I pray that we are giving you guys a blessing and helping. I'm no newscaster. Obviously I say so and too many times. That tells you I'm not a newscaster. Went to college, and I remember getting preached to about that. And so when I'd get up and give my lectures or whatever it was I was giving in college, I was real careful about saying my ums and my so's and all that. But I decided it doesn't matter. I just need to get the word out. I'm not on here trying to win a reading or a grammar, whatever. I'm just trying to get the word out, and it's a huge blessing to me. And I'm so happy that you guys are getting on here and listening to us. And we would really appreciate that if you could share this video with somebody, if you could share Two Friends in the Bible with people, and if you could subscribe, like, and check the like button so we feel loved. And just let your friends know all about this. And if you have questions, you can always email us at twofriendsinthebible@gmail.com. That is all lowercase. Twofriendsinthebible@gmail.com. Of course, you can leave a comment on our page. I am seeing a lot of Christians and conservatives being booted off of YouTube. I personally don't think we're big enough yet that we're going to be a problem, but you just never know. So if by chance you get on here and you don't find us, we're going to be uploading our videos on Rumble as well. And the Rumble account is Two Friends and a Bible, but the T is capitalized and the B for Bible is capitalized. You have to do that when you do your search bar in Rumble. You can't just put Two Friends and a Bible lowercase because it won't pop it up. It has to be Two Friends and a Bible, T capitalized, B capitalized. We also have a Facebook page now, Two Friends and a Bible, all low caps. Okay. And we'll probably be getting on Telegram and doing things like that maybe in the next week or two. So if you by chance get on YouTube and all of a sudden we're gone, just know, go find us on Rumble. Okay, that's where we'll be. And if you guys have any questions, please let us know. And we do have some more Bibles. If anyone needs a Bible, I do have a few, and I'd be happy to send you one. Just shoot us out an email at twofriendsinthebible@gmail.com, and we will, and with your address, then we will get you one shipped out. Okay, thanks, guys. Y'all have an amazing week. Keep your head up, keep smiling, stay in the Word, tell your friends, be blessed. And just know if this is the end times, which I'll be honest, I really believe what I'm seeing is it's definitely here coming. And I really do. I just, but I'm excited if it is, because we're getting to see so many cool things happen. Okay, guys, y'all have a great week. And if you have any questions, just shoot us a message. Thank you.